Fnatic topple G2 and are your spring split champions.
3 rookies prove themselves worthy of the top 4 in the EU LCS.
A double kill from Perks! This guy is a madman!
He can do it! Oh, Memento! You beautiful man!
Guess the Quadra gonna be a pacer for Kobe!
It's time to find out who will rise. This is the EU LCS.
Welcome back to Berlin, Germany for more action in the EU LCS Summer Split. Fnatic versus G2, that's our match of the week, and that's coming up later tonight, but that is also one of many topics we will cover in Ready Check. We're also going to have a bit of a pool party later on, so you got to stick around. I'm Sjokz supporter here with Martin Deficio and Andrew Vedius Day. Yay, we don't get to see this combo too often, so I am very happy. What is this?
First question to Vedius.
Is that
a phone ringing?
Yeah, I'm on the phone.
You're like, oh, hello. Yeah, but you wouldn't have it like do this up here. Your phone isn't ringing when you're already talking into
What?
it.
You guys are literally spewing gibberish.
What is this?
It's our thing.
Isn't this Griezmann's X celebration thing?
I don't know. I always thought it's like cowabunga, dude.
I thought it was a ringing phone, and then you pick it up.
You know what? It definitely is not when you guys do it. Cool. So let's move on. After yesterday, let's take a look at the standings, because things are heating up in the EU LCS. And when we look at the standings, it's not necessarily that things have drastically shifted, but it's that the power balance seems to be a bit off and could be in danger of shifting.
Yeah, you can no longer claim that we have a locked top 3 and everything is just in place. If you look at Schalke, Vitality, Splice, you know, they're winning a bunch of games now. G2, Misfits, even Fnatic lost yesterday. Like, I'm starting to think that if you put G2 versus Schalke, I'm not putting that in favor of G2 anymore. That, to me, is a 50-50 game all of a sudden, and that's why we get the power shifts.
We did get a lot of surprises yesterday, a lot of upsets, so Vedius, why don't you break down what exactly we saw on day 1?
Yes, so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to quickly run you through. If you didn't see yesterday's show, we saw a couple of important games and surprising upsets. The first one being Splice taking down the Unicorns of Love, which takes a big leap towards their playoff dreams. Unicorns desperately needed that win, but unfortunately, they couldn't find a single kill versus Splice. Splice kind of stuck to their traditional style, and it worked out very nicely for them, getting their first win of the day. Next up, we had a bit of an upset surprise with Giants taking down Misfits. The 9th-seeded team versus the 1st-seeded team in our league ended up dropping a game. And it was quite a surprising way in which it happened too. Giants picked a new 1-3-1 style, they executed upon it perfectly, Joko had a monster performance, and they found a very much needed win as their miracle run begins. Finally, Vitality continued their winning streak with Kikis as they took down Fnatic. Everyone kind of had high hopes for Fnatic, looking to be the new leaders of the EU LCS, but they were surprised once Vitality came out with a very powerful swing and took the wind right out from Fnatic.
Took the wind out of Fnatic and the win for themselves, and Kikis picked up his 3rd consecutive player of the game.
And he's confident now.
Yeah.
Damn, the man is confident on PGL. If you guys didn't see it, he came in and instantly said, you know what, I'm just smarter than everyone else. They're playing the passive style. My passing is better. I'll always punish them. So I think a lot of credit to Kikis and what he's done with Vitality in these 3 games. I don't see a reason for them to slow down. Like today, they should win as well. I just want Vedi also to do his presenter voice whenever he's talking. Like have some full stops in between every word. My name is Vedius.
It's my picks to watch voice.
Yeah, there you go.
Throughout the rest of Ready Check.
Thank you very much.
Can you say what is exciting you the most about the standings right now in your picks to watch?
Well, the thing that excites me the most about today is the fact that Giants are actually within contention of playoffs. The fact that they are so close to getting a couple of much-needed wins into securing that top 6 spot is very exciting to me. The big question is whether or not they can actually pull it off.
Just like in picks to watch, it's not real analysis. It's actually just guessing a bunch of champions for fun. And that's the same with the Giants point right here.
All right. Well, whatever it may be, picks to watch voice or not, things are interesting. And top 3-wise, G2 is even in danger of losing that 3rd spot to FC Schalke 04. So they, in theory, have to win against Fnatic today, because Fnatic also lost to Vitality yesterday, which means that this match of the week gets a bit of a new spice, because Fnatic is going to want to prove themselves, and G2, on the other hand, also wants to show that they are stronger than Fnatic. We're going to count down to the match of the week, the next chapter in this heated rivalry.
G2 versus Fnatic is the best we have to offer in Europe. There will be supports roaming, there will be junglers ganking, there will be mid laners fighting, then you are guaranteed action.
I want G2 to say, we won't have a repeat of the Copenhagen finals. We are here and we are back.
I just want to crush them. I just want to finally be able to win against Fnatic.
No one's going to play around in this one. Everyone's going to go with each other. It's going to be a bloodbath.
This could be the best regular season game we've had in years.
Booyah, 2 of our top teams. They won 10 EU LCS titles combined. When you see that written out and you hear it, it's always a bit of a wake-up call that of all the EU LCS titles, a lot of them are between these two teams, and no matter how they're performing in the minute, that's always going to make that matchup hype.
Yeah, I feel like we have a lot of splits where there's a lot of close games, a lot of fighting, you know, people jumping up and down the standings, and yet in the end, it ends up being G2 or Fnatic always winning, and that's just a lot of, you know, respect to the organizations for always building these championship rosters. I think the same thing stands here. Like, G2 made the final. Yes, they lost to Fnatic in spring, but they still feel like this is the team that can actually go all the way to another one.
And this will be a very big battle for seeding coming into playoffs, and so we are kind of expecting both these teams to once again make it. They are kind of those legacy teams, but when you kind of look at the track record of these two teams, last year it was all the Fnatic show. The fact that they had full control last split as well, they were consistently dominating. But we have seen G2 take down Fnatic already this split. The big question is, given their two kind of struggling performances in recent weeks, who kind of looks like the favorites?
Only one game for Fnatic. I'm still very confident Fnatic will look really good today.
We'll see. They're only one win behind, or ahead rather, of Vitality and Schalke at this point. This is what makes that so interesting. Also, when you look at the top 3, as you said, number 1 and 2 get a bye to the semifinal and don't need to play the quarterfinals in the playoffs. And these two guys will always want to make a show out of it. Perkz yesterday, G2 was up versus H2K. They won. It wasn't super clean, but Perkz did pop off on LeBlanc. So maybe that's a message to Caps. I'm ready. I don't care what you throw at me.
To me, what was great about it was the fact that we saw Perkz and Jankos working so well together. Something that we kind of need to see from this team if they want to find a lot of success, and being able to pull it off so effectively against H2K is something that they're going to need against Caps and Broxah, who have found a lot of success to that mid lane.
Teams also always talk about how against H2K it's hard to play like a clean game. You kind of get sucked into the madness. Like Fnatic did it. G2 now did it as well yesterday because people were criticizing a little bit that they couldn't just cleanly snowball the game. I think both teams are going to be fine going into the game.
Well, 4th game of the day is that match of the week with the POV stream of Jankos on twitch.tv/RiotGames2. Listen, there's a bit of a curse. Everyone we put the POV stream on loses, so we'll see.
So we put it on a guy who's already losing.
So it will undo the curse, and he will
lose. Double negative.
If he wins, he breaks the curse.
All right. We will be looking out for that. That's all we have. That's all we're doing in the EU LCS here. We're vying for the championship to be crowned in Madrid, but all over the globe and especially all over Europe, there's a lot more League of Legends happening. For instance, in the Premier Tour, this is a German circuit, the official circuit rather for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Us and a couple of guys and a couple of casters from the broadcast actually went to visit the event. 2,000-3,000 people in an arena right here in Berlin, looking at the finals. A lot of fan interaction. I was really heavily surprised by just all the entertainment and the games. They were very close as well.
I mean, the German League of Legends community is pretty huge right now. And there's obviously a lot of people watching LCS, but also a ton of people following just the German League specifically. A lot of great personalities around the scene as well, doing a lot of fun content. So I think there's a lot you always want to follow in this specific region. Question is, how well do they perform at EU Masters?
Yes.
Because last time
they struggled.
Yes, they did.
It's still up in the air who's going to go. Euronics Gaming did win just last week. They now have 400 points, so they have a good chance of going. But Big is also still in the running. Mousesports is still in the running. It all depends on what happens in the next stop, because it could just as well be that Euronics Gaming falls out of the top 10 entirely. But that seems like not that likely.
Pretty unlikely.
Yeah, but I mean, it also kind of ties in the big race for that EU Masters, which is happening straight after the gauntlet that happens at the end of the summer split. So there's so much European League of Legends, and it's going to lead all the way up to World.
Historically, the German teams at EU Masters haven't done too well just
It's been one EU Masters as well.
Yes. So
but yes, historically you are correct.
So we'll see.
It is true.
Fingers crossed for them. Is that what these... Yeah, that's what you say, indeed.
Yes.
For more info, in any case, on the Premier Tour, you can visit eu.lolesports.com/Premier Tour. Wow. You know, sometimes you get too hyped, and then you just can't speak words.
Tour.
So what you do then is you let someone else speak. And we're going to let someone speak about League of Legends, because we are always talking about the stars and the people that are really good. But let's face it, we're all scrubs. You guys at home are all scrubs. So we asked Ender to give you some tips on how you can improve.
Well, thank you, Sjokz. I've got a few quick tips here that you can use to level up your game in solo queue. And the first one goes out to all you mid laners out there, and that's going to be starting with the trinket, the red trinket in particular, at level 1. You can actually use it to walk into the river. More often than not, teams will like to put a trinket ward inside this tiny dot bush in the river to try and spot out the enemy jungle path. And what it means for you is that when you actually go to that middle lane, you're going to be hitting level 2 off of that 6th minion in the first wave, and especially on an aggressive champion like Talon that can all in right as soon as you hit level 2, that's a great way to try and get that early spike and look for a kill. Now, the next one we have here is when you're in a little bit more of a difficult situation. Right now, we got a Lee Sin stuck over this wall with the Talon chasing him, and he can actually use the dragon to bump him away from Talon as he jumps into the pit. So the trick here is you queue over the wall onto the dragon and then walk right in front of it. It bumps you in towards the river and knocks Talon straight back into the wall, leaving you safe and getting out scot-free. Now the last one, again, is in mind with the junglers right here, and it's one of the ways you can hit level 3 a little bit faster. The only way to actually hit level 3 after taking 3 camps is to include Krugs in your clear. So in this clip in particular, you have Lee Sin who takes red buff, Krugs, and then the Scuttle Crab, and that can lead you into either a gank in the bottom lane or in the mid lane. This is especially potent when you're playing a champion that doesn't rely on mana and doesn't need a blue buff to look for an early gank, like perhaps a Lee Sin or perhaps a Rek'Sai as well. And we're gonna have to keep watching this one out because there's some insane Lee Sin mechanics we see when he eventually gets down into the bottom lane for this gank. It's truly awe-inspiring what we're going to be seeing right here. So you see Talon pushed all the way up to this turret, and oh yeah, look at that, misses the Q, dives back into the tower. And let me tell you right now, if you're on your Talon's team, this is the perfect time to implement the question mark ping. You drop those all over his head. It's like, what are you doing, man? He dove the turret. He's going to learn a lot from that play and maybe not do it the next time. But there's another way to hit level 3 a little bit earlier if you're still trying to play the jungle and look for some early ganks. You can actually include just 2 small wolves in your initial clear. So in this case in particular, you start on the red buff, move over to your wolves. You don't do the big wolf though. That's the one that just slows you down and wastes a little bit of time. You can from then on move towards your blue buff and your Scuttle Crab, again to look for a very similar gank either in the top lane or the middle lane. And it just gets you there a little bit faster than if you actually ended up clearing that entire camp. Now, that was some quick tips on how you can improve your play. Sjokz, did you learn anything?
No. Yes, I did. I actually did not know about the red trinket in the beginning.
I only play support.
Well, I can help you.
I don't need it.
He doesn't know what a ward is in bot lane. He only knows what
if you start red, yeah, I would never start the red trinket in support.
Right. In any case, we're in this get-ups because it's time for a pool party in the EU LCS. We have a lot of epic moments and plays that may seem a bit strange, and we are going to run them by our analysts, the best moments in the European LCS and beyond in my face when. And now it's specially themed pool party because since this week you can get the skins at the in-game store along with the emotes you see on screen here. By the way, it's also Gangplank, Zoe, and Caitlyn skins that you can get in game. They look awesome. Just to run you through the My Face When emotes that our analysts can use. Maybe that one will explain first. The dinghy, or this is one you need to be thrown.
Pool party lifeline.
The lifeline.
Listen, when Deficio's in trouble, you give him a lifeline. I've saved you,
I lost my glasses.
You're good.
Yeah.
My glasses are back.
Then we have the Shell Shocked. So the Shocked one, I think Deficio holds that one.
Yeah, Shell Shock, my favorite one.
Probably going to be a favorite.
This is great to do when people do dumb stuff in-game. You just throw this one out. You're like, oh, whoa, what happened there?
Party, Pengu as well, who is winking, and we have a snoozing little Poro.
So when you're bored of the play.
And you're bored of the play. So we haven't seen these. I am anxious to see what our production team has cooked up.
They've got a Deficio play.
Let's look at the first play. Let's take a look.
Oh, what do we have here?
Okay.
What have we got?
Okay. So he got... Oh, no. Yeah, he was late. Cole was really late for this one. I definitely have to assume he tried to steal the Baron. See, that's one
I'm
of the
giving him a
moments.
lifeline for this one. I'm like, quick, no!
I'm giving him shock. This is where the entire team pops this bad boy. When they see the wall coming at them and they see him flying in there and Baron is already dead, you pop the shell shock.
The idea is great, but once you go on the wall as Talia,
the idea is really bad. Baron is dead already.
Yeah.
You also don't even have to get on it.
That's
never gonna get in there.
And you can't jump off it as well. So actually, everything was
It was bad.
It was just bad. Sorry, Cole. We know also you lost yesterday, so maybe it was the production team that chose this clip, not us. Moving on to the next one. Let's see what we've got cooking here. Okay, is that Ender?
That's Ender. That's Ender, yeah, what's he doing?
He's telling them to go the other way.
Oh, look how, he's mad.
WE was going the wrong way. Okay.
Not really.
I don't, was the team sleep? No, that's like I feel that's a shocked again.
Are we shell shocked again? Also, Ender looked buffed. What happened to him?
Just as a explanation for people who don't know, Ender is now a colorcaster on the show, but he used to
Hopefully they knew that.
a referee and a playtester.
Yes, and he used to be the referee. It was actually an international event.
Yeah.
And NALCS.
NALCS as well.
I mean, this is one of those things that probably looks... You're like, oh, that would never happen to me. But like, what do you do? These like superstars, WE, Condi is just like, whoa.
I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He just politely tapped him on the shoulder.
See, I think the face of the
there we go.
crab
One more time.
is
One more
Ender.
time. There we go.
Look. He's like, whoa. What are you doing?
It was different if you tackled him or
Get
something.
over there. No way. What do you think you're doing?
Oh, Ender, man.
That's great. Anyway, third play. Let's see what we've got here. We just saw some Ender, we saw some cold mechanics, but I wonder what is up next. Baron again, obviously a popular.
Oh, someone's gonna die, Baron?
Yeah.
Memento.
They even get the skull.
Wait, that's the Memento Scaran dies.
This is...
Yeah.
Alright, that's this one. That's definitely he was having a nap in that one.
He was having a nap.
True. That's true, yeah. You can't really wink. This one doesn't really work.
It's a wink. I guess it's for a good play.
Baron
which
winks?
in this setup, we're probably never going to see.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm hoping the next one's an
on
outplay. If we get an outplay, that's when the winky face will come in.
Really?
Warren or Scaran. This was a game they won, so it's not as bad. Was it? Yeah, I believe.
Also, I mean, dying after you already secured Baron?
Yeah.
Technically.
Biggie. Unless it's 5 people at the same time, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's
Wake
all
up,
5 die.
Scaran. Wake up.
Yeah. Alrighty, I am excited to see what our very last replay is.
we have
Maybe
more?
we get
I hope
to
it's a
use
Deficio
the
play.
last.
No, my plays are
emote.
great.
We'll see.
Then we can use the winky face.
Had a 2-2 record, and they've been pretty inconsistent, Judge. But we've been having a couple of conversations throughout the week, and you've spotted a potential opportunity for them.
I had.
Let's get slow-mo.
The slow-mo.
Whoa. So, Sjokz, if you had been very quick, you would have done winky face.
I'm taking
You're
this.
doing slow shot, fine, that's okay.
Sjokz is a little bit sleepy.
You should have done winky face at the end.
You could have winky faced.
For the people at home, we've been in the studio for like 3 years, and we've been on this set the way it is now for a year and a half.
Probably.
There's 1, 2, 3 cameras. They never move. They never move. And somehow I was like, you know what? This is the exact way to go. Like, what?
Maybe you just didn't care about the segment that was happening.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, I'll give you this back. There we go.
Thank you. I'm doing winky face on that one.
Awesome stuff. Thank you guys for doing the My Face one. It was really fun. You guys also look amazing. And now we're going to look forward to the action we've got coming up tonight. Unfortunately, the pool party
we gotta get rid of the party
over,
stuff.
but
Off
we
you
have
go.
5 great games. And yeah, there we go.
So this is our schedule for today. And some of the cool matchups that we do have, obviously G2 versus Fnatic is always going to be a good one. Deficio, you and I are really looking forward to this first game of the day though, Roccat versus Giants, largely just because of what happened yesterday for Giants, but also because of the curse of Roccat, where they always go 1-1 every week.
So the question is, will Roccat maintain the curse? That means they have to beat Giants.
Yes.
Or will Giants continue the miracle run so we didn't just have the storyline for one day and then it died? We kind of need to win this game so we can do this next
Make
week.
the storyline and then it never comes through.
Setting up the big story.
Yes.
And if they lose one game, we drop it.
Finally, we also have Vitality versus Unicorns of Love. Unicorns of Love are in very dire straits. They have to win every single game. And
got money for nothing.
With the current form of Kikis, I mean, can you imagine them going just 4-0? I'd never expected them to like rebound so highly again. And with Kikis, they are...
I agree. The discussion 2 weeks ago was, will Vitality even make playoffs?
Yes.
And now I feel like if you don't put Vitality in your playoff top 6, you're like completely missing the last couple of games with Kikis. They're going to beat Unicorns today. And with that 4-0 record they're going to have with him, they look like one of the prime candidates to even try and challenge further up potentially even a top 2 spot.
And this is really exciting because last split, we kind of had the locked-in Fnatic up top. There was a bit of battle for 2 and 3, and then like the top 4 was kind of already locked. Right now, there's actually a lot of teams challenging for 1st and 2nd place. You know, Schalke can do it, Vitality can do it. It all depends on how these next couple of weeks play, and starting off today will determine a lot with G2 Fnatic
and Vedius. Misfits versus Schalke in that regard is really super important as well.
So you're forgetting about the snake.
Yes,
Misfits getting in there, man. Easiest schedule of all the teams, still playing, you know, Giants and H2K. They're gonna get a bunch of wins there. If Splice actually win like 5 of the remaining games, which is very likely with the schedule, they're also suddenly fighting for the top spots.
You put them in number 2 in your playoff prediction, 3rd in your playoff prediction. So we'll see. We are also still predicting every single game and in the race for superior analysts. You guys are tied going into today, but before we get to that, I'd like to point out yesterday it was Vitality versus Fnatic. None of you said Vitality would win, and I was the only one to have it right.
Wait a minute. I saw Ready Check yesterday, and I feel like that's not quite what you said yesterday, Sjokz.
I'm going to say let's run the tape that we prepared.
We have the tape?
I think we have the tape.
Vitality baskets. I don't know, man. I think Kiki is, what is Fnatic Legacy, whatever. I think he can beat them.
Did you flip a coin?
If he's in, of course. Did I flip a coin? No, I did not flip a coin. But I did also have in mind that I voted for Fnatic over G2 tomorrow, and I didn't want to seem like a Fnatic shill, so I didn't want to put them 2-0. So it's ridiculous, really. I've lost the plot. I don't know.
You've lost the plot, have you, Sjokz?
You've gotten really good at editing. And
the last part is great. I didn't want to vote for
Yes.
Fnatic twice, so it didn't seem like I was just favoring Fnatic. But voting for Fnatic is what you're supposed to do.
You know what? It doesn't matter because you're still a loser and I'm still a winner because I got the rights right. But the reason why I'm taking these risks is because I'm a bit behind you guys. You guys are tied for superior analysts.
Yep.
So it's going to break today.
And it's going to break
Apparently, we've
today.
been tied for 3 weeks in a row now. We've had the same prediction, according to our social media managers.
I don't trust them.
Okay, but today it changes. The epic battle. One of us will be determined who is in the top.
This Rockout, we all think they're going to go 1-1 again.
Yeah, but I feel like Giants is how they played yesterday. If they play like that today, Giants actually win.
But I don't believe that.
Game.
I don't think that'll happen. But I got to talk about Schalke.
Oh, yeah,
I believe in them
Schalke.
now because it's actually more about the fact that Sjokz, to me, in this meta, is not finding a comfortable role. Control mages don't seem to fit his style. He's not working as well with Max Stories as he has done in the past. Relying on your bot lane to carry doesn't seem to be as an effective strategy, and I just feel like right now they have not found their form, whereas Schalke seem to have. They seem to have a winning formula, and coming into today, they just seem to have reversed roles. They're the proactive ones, and Misfits are the ones not doing anything.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see. It'll be very important in
still
your
believe
battle
in
for
Misfits?
superior analyst.
I don't believe in Schalke Baron.
Ooh, off the hype train. Well, we are counting down to our very first game of the day, 7 minutes away from Rockout and Giants. And one of the most important things in this game is Joko versus Memento. And speaking of early game junglers, we've got an expert. And Foxdrop is going to break down some pathing tips for you.
Thank you, Sjokz. Now, everyone knows that jungling is the hardest role outside of anything you'd find in an abandoned bakery. So today, I want to help you get a little bit better at it. And I think you're going to like this one because it will help if you feel like your laners feed their buttocks a little more than you'd like, which, let's be honest, is all the time. So the key concept I want to highlight today is the ability to plan ahead. If you're just reacting to what's going on at any given time, you're going to stay a step behind, which is not a recipe for success. What's important is being able to read the game to decide what your next move should be. Memento showed us a really good example of this a few weeks ago in Rockout's underdog victory against G2. In fact, this one play was the foundation for Rockout's whole success. So let's take a cheeky little look at it, shall we? Now, if we pause right here and take a look at the minimap, we'll see there's not too much going on. Nothing happening in this top lane, nothing happening in this mid lane, and absolutely nothing happening in this bot lane. You can also see that his chickens and Krugs are up at this time. So that would be your default move, right? You'd go to chickens, you'd go to Krugs, and then you'd reset. However, this is what separates the terrible League of Legends players, such as yourself and me, from the professionals like Memento here. Memento finishes off his chicken camp, and then he recalls. He doesn't go to his Krugs, he recalls, resets right now. Now, why does he do this? What's the point? He's going to bomb it up to this top side, and if you look at the minimap, there's nothing happening down there. You know, there's no camps, there's no obvious gank, there's no crab, there's no mark. But the reason why he does it is because of this boy right here, Jankos, because Jankos has come up top and Memento has predicted that this is what's going to happen. The reason why he can know this is happening is because the matchup top lane, Rumble into Urgot, you can see, look at all these little blue dudes down here. There's so many of them. That means that that's going to be pushing into G2. That makes Rumble vulnerable. And also just the matchup in general. Urgot is a champion that we know wants to get ahead in that early game. G2 has drafted it to do that. So you want to go and gank that lane. Now is the perfect time to do so if you're Jankos. They also saw him in that bot side. So if we go back to live here as well, Jankos moving up towards that top side, Memento reading it, and as predicted, Jankos shows up, goes for the gank. Now Prophet's pushed out a little bit too far here, gives Rocket a bit of a butt clenching moment, but lo and behold, here comes Memento, our Swedish hero, to swoop in and save the day. And just like that, Memento's turned a 1-kill lead for G2 into a 1-kill deficit, not to mention that free stack he got, the ability to take the enemy's Krugs, and putting a spanner in the Urgot operation. Now, plays like this are often the only difference between having lanes that feed like mad and having more controlled, reliable games. So, to summarize, don't just react to what's happening right now, think about what's going to happen. As far as your pathing goes, always plan ahead.
Fantastic advice. It feels like it's applicable to life in general. You know, always plan ahead. Don't just think about what's going to happen. Be proactive. And it's such a soothing English voice with some words in there. I loved it. Anyway, yeah, we looked at Memento. Where was this Memento yesterday is kind of my big question as we count down to Roccat versus Giants, because they didn't have the best showing. Versus Schalke, it was really none of that. It was very much scaling.
Deficio? Where was he?
He was sitting on a Gragas and looking at 3 lanes that said to him, we do not want to fight in the early game. We just want to farm Mundo, some Orianna in there as well. That was a setup for Roccat, which we don't like to see. It was a full scaling, you know, big late game team fights, which means Memento can't be proactive in the early game, and that's when the team typically falls apart.
We also saw Noskaren playing time. Kench, the typical proactive playmakers he likes, things like the Rakan as well. And when they don't have that early ability to make things happen, it doesn't happen. Fortunately, though, they were able to find a couple of great mid-game fights kind of off the back of Blanc with his phenomenal shockwave that he found up against Schalke. And that was the point at which everyone thought, oh, Roccat can come back into this game. They got themselves a Baron. Everything looks good.
This is the moment where I thought, okay, Freddy, the coach of Roccat, he's smart. He knew that Schalke will give them opportunities in the late game to get back, so he's drafting a late game comp. And with the greatest play Blanc has probably ever pulled off with the 5-man shockwave, they actually did get back and got the goal lead. They were the ones then setting up for objectives after this. So they started believing we're beating Schalke now. We're beating the team that's just one step above us in the standings. We need this to get into that top 6. It's probably one of the most important wins all year long that Roccat are looking at. And then everything falls apart after that Elder Drake play where Schalke actually outplayed him completely. Roccat do not find the engage. Smack, they fall apart.
They couldn't close it out. Now, you could say in the draft, what we've said time and time again is, well, if you're winning with 30-game leads, then always invest in that early game. There were a couple of things banned out, but then I wonder, Vedius, shouldn't the strategy then be okay, then we're going to look at all the champions we could pick in that scenario, keeping in mind that they're now going to ban out our Kindred, they're going to ban out our Trundle, they're going to ban out everything we can play with early normally.
Well, I feel like that when you're looking at this Roccat squad, having other options is great, but you kind of want to lock in that playoff spot before you start kind of diversifying your style. You need to secure it. And just playing towards a style that you know or has found success so far in the regular season is the more reliable and guaranteed way to secure that spot.
And that is our advice for Roccat today if they want to beat Giants, because Giants yesterday went into a game versus Misfits where nobody really believed in them. I don't think anyone voted for them either, the crowd or the casters. But man, did they show up and did they take a huge step forward in the race for playoffs.
Yeah, the miracle run has began for them. Taking down Misfits is a huge step, especially when you think about how many difficult challenges they'll have forward, but it was just such a monumental win, the way in which they did it as well. We talked a lot about how their team fighting has been a big struggle for them, and they drafted the 1-3-1, they executed upon it properly, and so many individuals were really stepping up for this team.
Exactly. I think with Giants, especially because they actually have a good early game jungler in Joko, whenever they can get an early lead, which we have seen pretty often. It's actually been a fairly consistent part of Giants' play. And they don't need to make big decisions around team fighting. They can actually close out games like they showed yesterday. If they do that again against Roccat, if they beat Roccat in the early game, I think Giants win.
Let's take a look at their upcoming schedule. Yesterday, we looked at it in light of the Miracle Run and that we probably shouldn't count on a Misfits victory there. They did it.
Right.
So now they have Roccat, so it's all open for them. It's up for the taking.
I mean, the big thing about this strength of schedule is how difficult it looks. Fnatic is still left, Sjokz is still left, G2 and Splyce, all teams that are really strong and are vying for those kind of top 3, top 4 spots. This is why we call it the Miracle Run. Starting by taking down Misfits will be monumental for them to make it into playoffs.
And not dropping the ball and taking down Roccat today.
Oh, yeah.
But
for sure.
there is the Roccat. This is why we voted for Roccat, because there was a
1-1.
Curse/blessing. They seem to always recover and get 1-1. It would be so important for either team to get a victory in the race for playoffs. There is a ton on the line today, so let's head down to our casters and get into that action.
Thank you very much, Sjokz, and hello to all you esports fans. I'm Devin Piratengus Young here with the prediction king of the European LCS himself. Is the fantastic Mr. Foxdrop. What's going on?
Are you sure about that one, fella? Prediction